Hello, and yes indeed, welcome to another Whiskey Review with me, the Whiskey Novice. Thank you for joining me for review number 159, the final part for now of this series of 1 month of Midleton. I have no doubt, because of quite a few whiskies from the Midleton distillery within my cabinets. So I have no doubt that I will revisit for another month of Midleton at some point, but let's round this one up with one that's considered a bit of a classic, I think. I'm going to use the word classic. Redbreast 12 is a classic, I believe. A very definite classic. But the Redbreast 12 Cask Strength, I think, is becoming one of those classics as well. It's becoming thought of as a bit of a classic, I think. Because those of us who have maybe moved around in the whiskey world for a while now want more, and as good as Redbreast 12-year-old is, isn't it much better when you get it at Cask Strength? Yes, of course it is. So this one, B121, so it's from 2021, and bottled at 56.3%. So that's the deets. It's non-chill filtered. I believe there probably has colour added. You know, there's not much more to add to it than that. It's, I suppose, of course, I could say that some bourbon cask maturation, some Oloroso but maturation. That's pretty much what you get. I don't remember ever having read anywhere the actual facts of how long it gets in those bourbon casks or those Oloroso butts. So it's just matured in those casks. Woofed. Right, let's get into this. I generally would prefer to be down a bottle a little more. I don't know how much of that you can see, but this is just over the shoulder. I have had previous batches, so I'm not, this is just my bottle of this currently, and it fit into this series, so it just happens that I'm just over the shoulder, although I have had it in the past. Slightly spirit forward, to be expected. It's 56.3%, so, but not as spirit forward as I've had some, so it's all right. And the further you get down that bottle, the less spirit forward it feels. Orange, malt, honey. One that it mentions on the label, dried apricot. Yes, very much so. Slight hints of pear and banana. Set aside, and they set aside the usual trappings of sherry cask. But here, that sherry cask influence is well balanced out. It would be more where you would think about sherry cask influences being fruitcake, rich, dark, dense fruitcake. This one pulls more for me from the mixed pale and sultana, the sweeter sides of fruitcake and sherry cask influence. And even something that I find, even with the standard 12-year-old, a little, if you hang around for a while, a little musty and a little hint of acetone. No bad thing. It's pulling from active casks, I would suggest. Rich, sweet and sour delivery. Thick, almost oily. Yeah. Tasty. It is tasty. Coating, Very much so. Give this time to relax in your glass. And it's not as spirit forward as the nose would suggest. On the palate at 56.3%, it doesn't feel like it. It's soft. It is coating, as I said. There are sweet caramel, even slightly nutty notes. Vanilla, yes. And then it pulls very much on the strings of that Christmas cake thing. Yeah, rich, full, raisins and sherried Christmas cake. It's thick. It's chewy. It's good. Now, I said in my last review, I'll throw a link for that up here, I don't add an awful lot of water anymore to some that's been triple distilled. And it's still something I'm working on. It's a theory that I'm working on, that triple distillation is making whiskey slightly delicate. So don't overdo the water. It just tends to... Yes, it'll all help. It'll all... Well, I'll say it'll all help. Whenever it's bottled at 56.3%, it'll all open up a little with the addition of water. But I'm just... There's something currently working on me that's saying that it's with triple distillation, it's making it a little delicate. And it's tending to fragment and collapse a little with too much water. So generally what we're looking at is Irish whiskey here. It's something that I will look at, and we will maybe see in a live feed or something, that I'm just convinced that there's maybe something going on. Triple distillation. So we know that there's Scotch whiskey producers using triple distillation. So I'll maybe sit down at some point with a triple distilled Scotch against something that's been twice distilled from the same distillery or something. Oh, I'm well off the plot here. Let's just get back to this Redbreast 12, shall we? Yeah, much brighter, less spirit forward, but all the flavours still remain, but it's just less spirit forward. The alcohol isn't driving it the same. More citrus, a little bit of wood polish, and oak, more oak. Citrusy sweet, slightly oily. It was oily before, but it feels even more with the addition of that little bit of water. It ups the pepper, which I probably didn't mention I was getting in the finish earlier. And the other thing was the finish. I did notice earlier, goes quite dry. Addition of water doesn't feel like as if it dries the same. Still loads of fruitcake, honey. Finish remains good, remains long, but not just as dry. Sweet and fruit cake. Yeah. It's a good representation of a pot still, is the best way to explain this. Yes, there'll probably be batch variation. Yes, it ranges from around the 75 to to £95 mark. So it's a 12-year-old cask strength. Is that expensive? Well, you know, you're only going to get a 12-year-old cask strength in Ireland. You're only going to get a 12-year-old cask strength pot still in Ireland. It could only be made in Ireland. So it's something that I'm convinced that Midleton play upon and say, well, if you want a 12-year-old cask strength pot still, you got to look to us and look to our peers to get it. You will not get it in Scotch whiskey. You will not get it in American, English, Indian, Japanese whiskey, etc., etc. So if it's your thing, then we can charge what we want, almost. So, you know, is it the right price? £75, yes. £95, it's pushing it a bit, but it's good stuff. It is good stuff. How does it compare to the standard 12? Well, I don't know. I haven't got a bottle at the moment. But yeah, there's an awful lot more flavour going on. It doesn't fall. And it's one of those things that the stupid thing about it, the annoying thing about it is that once you would go here, you would never buy another bottle of the standard 12-year-old again, because it just falls flat in comparison to this. That extra ABV really just pulls everything up, takes all those flavours. Don't get me wrong, the standard 12-year-old, great whiskey. It is a good pot still. It's a brilliant pot still in comparison to a lot of pot stills. It's just not as good as the cask strength version, in my opinion. So we'll leave it at that and move on. So, what would I recommend as an alternative then? Well, it would have been very easy to look to Midleton again and say, try this. But I'm trying to open your minds a little. I'm trying to spread it about a bit. It still had to be another representation of pot still, in my opinion. And it is. It's this. From Teeling. And this was one of their World of Wood. This was the first introduction to their World of Wood, bottled at 50%. So it's you know, it's up there. It's not thinned down too much. Non-chill filtered, no colour added, virgin Chinkapin oak. So it's a pot still, once again, same as this. I was actually surprised. I was pleasantly surprised how good this was. Teeling and I have had a bit of a rocky past, in that just some of their expressions I just haven't sat well with. So it's just me, personal opinion. But this one, I was very pleasantly surprised. Chinkapin oak, North American, slightly softer wood, I believe. You know, so it were this virgin oak, I don't think I would have liked it. The virgin Chinkapin oak doesn't have the same extreme influence on the spirit, so it's a slightly softer feel, and you can feel it here. So spread yourself about a bit. This is an available good single pot still, in my opinion. So if you liked Redbreast 12-year-old cask strength, this much cheaper. It is quite a bit cheaper if you get it in the right place. So yeah, if you like Redbreast 12-year-old cask strength, give Teeling virgin Chinkapin oak a go. No age statement, obviously, but you know, it's a good representation, once again, of pot still. There you have it. I'll be honest, I have my doubts about this. For a while, there was a time when I would suggest that I preferred the standard 12-year-old to the cask strength. I think it was better that they, at source, tamed it. Now, taming to 40% is sort of, some would say, taking the piss a bit, but for me, they at source had pulled it back to 40%, but the flavour was still there. All that flavour was still intact. But when you try this then, and you temper it a little to your own taste, and just set it to your palate, it's better. It is better, in my opinion. Only an opinion. So, thank you very much for joining me once again. Always a pleasure. Thank you very, very much to my patrons. If you should wish to join that group, the details are in the video description below. So they are. Thank you, my friends. Always good to be with you. Till the next time, here's to your good health. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.